Hello YouTube, in this tutorial we learn a cool trick to create a loop animation with some balls. Make sure you follow me on Patreon as you can get access to the Blender file and watch the full tutorial about how to add materials and light to the scene. The first part will be dedicated to how set up our scene. For that, we need to make some cuts inside a plane. To do so, we use a plane mesh. Scale it up to make the plane bigger and use some geometry nodes. We use some cylinders here, but to let them be parametric, I use geometry nodes. So, we add a new plane and open the geometry nodes panel. Let's add a cylinder node, and then we use a mesh boolean node. Here you need to learn some math. Using nodes will let us to be more powerful. We increase the number of vertices to 100 to make the cylinders round. Let's see how it looks by plug the cylinder node directly to the group output. We also need to use a shade smooth node as the default option is not working. This node will smooth out the sharp edges of our cylinder. We set the radius of the first cylinder to 0.5. For our second cylinder, we set the radius to 0.8. Then we need to connect both cylinders to the mesh boolean node. Let's unplug the shade smooth node for now. Select the big plane and assign it a boolean modifier. Then drag and drop the smaller plane into it. To see the first cut, we need to hide the small plane. Let's duplicate the small plane to make more cuts inside our bigger plane. We use geometry nodes again to achieve the desired look. We set the radius to 0.9. For the second cylinder we set the radius to 1.2. Then we add a new boolean modifier to the big plane. We repeat this steps 2 more times. For the new cut plane, we set the radius of the first cylinder to 1.3 and then set the radius of the second cylinder to 1.6. Then add a new boolean modifier to our base plane. We duplicate the cut plane. First cylinder will have a radius of 1.7. And second cylinder will have a radius of 2. Again, you need to use a boolean modifier on the base plane. Now we need to add 4 circle curves and 4 spheres. Each sphere will move alongside a circle curve. The radius of each curve is the average of radius of cylinder 1 and cylinder 2 that we have used for our cut planes. The curves are done. Now we add our spheres. Before adding 4 spheres, we create a sphere and duplicate it 4 times. But first we need to make some changes in our sphere. In original video you have seen, there is a narrow cut inside our sphere. Let's hide the unneeded elements for now. For the sphere we have added, we select the middle faces. On Mac you must hold Shift and Option buttons together and select one face. Then extrude it along faces inward. Now the shape is done, but we need to select the top faces and assign it a material. Select the bottom faces and assign them a different material. These materials are just for now, but we create better ones when the setup is done. Scale down the spheres to find the right size. We add an object constraint, follow path to let the sphere moves along the curve. The sphere is so small, let's make it a bit bigger. We need to move up the sphere. Don't move it up a lot, just a bit. We set offset for the follow path constraint of our spheres. We want spheres be behind each other. Let's animate the offset value. You can use the Animate Path button, but it won't let you to apply changes to rotation when the spheres move. Each 100 is a complete turn, so we just need 100 frames. If you use a negative value for the offset, the object will move along the curve clockwise. In case you use a positive value for the offset, the object will move along the curve counterclockwise. To find the right value for each sphere, we need to do some calculations. Get the right value by adding -100 to the current offset on the last frame. Now let's add rotation to each sphere. We use drivers that Blender provides. Then assign the driver to the rotation. That's the reason I haven't used the Animate Path button. You copy the driver from the offset, then apply the driver to the rotation. Then, we edit the driver and change it to scripted expression. Since the speed of the rotation is fast, we divide the offset value. Now the speed of the rotation is good. Let's repeat these steps for the remaining spheres. I speed up the video. The first part is done. I just add a new plane to fill the holes of the big plane. We also need to assign a solidify modifier to the base plane to extrude it. Let's decrease the thickness. I guess it's too much for our scene. The first part is done. By adding materials and lights, we can get a great result. Thanks for watching. The full tutorial is only my Patreon. You will learn to add materials and lights to the scene. Also, you can download the Blender file.